such as Adidas and H&M, made an unprecedented pledge to support the Bangladeshi garment sector with continued sourcing commitments and support for remediation where needed. At the end of September this year, the Accord completed the initial inspections of all factories producing for Accord brands. More than 80,000 safety issues were identified that needed to be resolved. A total of 17 buildings were temporarily evacuated or completely closed, saving 30,000 workers from highly unsafe buildings, which could have become another Rana Plaza. In addition to the work to make factories safe, IndustriALL, together with our NGO partners, is working with brands and the ILO to compensate the victims of Rana Plaza. In late 2013, the Rana Plaza Donors Trust Fund was established to collect contributions from companies and others to finance the compensation. But brands and governments must still do more to ensure that adequate compensation is paid to all victims and their families. On behalf of UNI and the team working on the Accord, I would like to thank you all for your support. Together, we can make the garment industry in Bangladesh safe. Together, we can make global retailers pay fair prices for their products. Together, we can make the Accord a success. Together, we can change the world. Amandla!
Thank you, Alke. Now, to remind us of what led to such a historic, such an unprecedented response, here's a 3-minute film exploring the very real need to change fashion supply chains.
Your clothing factory happened in the morning rush hour. It came crashing down, trapping hundreds of people inside. There are conflicting
what is being done to tighten regulations, not just on fire safety, but even the buildings themselves and how they are built?
ঢুকে পড়লে 9টা বাজে বিদ্যুৎ চলে যায়, তখন বিল্ডিং ধসে পড়ে নিচমুখে।
ফ্লেজার যখন ভেঙে পড়ে তখন আমার পায়ে ভেঙে পড়ছিল, পাও কাটে বের করে না, পাও শুদ্ধই বের করছিল।
Between 2006 and April 2013, 700 workers had died in factory fires and building collapses in Bangladesh. Then came Rana Plaza with another 1,100 people killed. So the situation was urgent. We had to do something.
Well, we have important choices to make. If we remain quiet, there will be silence. The idea was that we had to change the rules of the game.
ক্ষতিপূর্ণ আমি এখন ক্ষতিপূর্ণ মনের ভিতর থেকে আসে না, এখন সন্তান হারাইছি, এখন কেউ চালায় না, টেকাও আমাকে মা বলে ডাকে না।
We insisted on a legally binding agreement on fire and building safety in Bangladesh in order to guarantee that the factories will be repaired and that the brands will make a commitment to stay in Bangladesh.
Today, we have more than 100 brands signed up. We have a governance structure in place. We have professional people in place. We have 2 million people covered, 1,700 factories, and every single one of those factories will be inspected in the weeks and months to come.
It is good for Bangladesh, good for Bangladeshi manufacturers, good for Bangladeshi workers in terms of safety, health and safety, and the security aspect of everybody.
আমরা যেন সবাই যেন শান্তশিষ্ট মতো যেন জীবনযাপন করতে পারি, এটা আমাদের শেষ করতেছি।
যারা চাকরি করতেছে এবং ভবিষ্যতে করবে তারা যেন ভালো, সুন্দর, সুস্থ পরিবেশে ন্যায্য অধিকারভাবে কাজ করতে পারে।
We all know that this is going to be a long process and that it won't be easy, but we are committed to make the Bangladeshi garment industry safe and sustainable.
We aim to change the supply chain business once and for all and forever.
Thank you. Now, I'm very pleased to welcome a special guest to the stage, someone who's been absolutely instrumental to this process. I'd like to welcome Jyrki Raina, who is the General Secretary of IndustriALL, the global union representing garment workers around the world. Now, Jyrki, as we've seen in that video, conditions for survivors and families of the victims are pretty grim. What can you tell us about what's happening with compensation?
Well, setting up the Rana Plaza Trust Fund for compensation was another historic first ever achievement by IndustriALL and our NGO partners. The brands have now paid $20 million into the fund. The fund will be able to pay 20 to 25 years of salaries to the families of the dead workers and considerable compensation to the injured workers. But they've been waiting far too long. Now we are approaching the end game. We need to do a final push. The tragic is that we will never be able to give the families their dear ones back. But let's campaign together, Uni and IndustriALL, to make sure that they get fair compensation.
And Alke, I mean, the video gives a sense of the incredible global work that needs to be done to pull together something like the Accord. What for you are the challenges and the priorities ahead in the next 3 years?
Up until now, the priority has been to deal with the factories that pose an imminent threat to workers' lives. As we heard earlier, some of them had been closed and the others are all now getting repaired. And having recently been to Bangladesh myself, it's clear that we have another urgent challenge now, which is to ensure that the brands that have signed the Accord do actually provide the financial means to implement these repairs that we need to make. The other priority, in addition to building renovation, is the Accord's ambitious and comprehensive worker training program. Our goal is to empower factory managers and workers to take ownership of the implementation of all the Accord elements, like, for instance, remediation, establishing health and safety committees, making use of complaint mechanisms, and exercising the right to refuse unsafe work, which is a very, very important part of the Accord provisions. We know that the road ahead is still very long and full of struggle and debates probably, but we have a fixed direction and we are determined to change the garment supply chains forever.
Forever. Good, good. And Jyrki, so the Bangladesh Accord was signed in May 2013. The first round of inspections is now done, and you've got 3 years of hard work left to do. But how can everybody here, how can the global trade union movement prevent a backlash in Bangladesh, prevent a backlash against progress, against trade unions, once perhaps the spotlight of Rana Plaza fades somewhat?
Well, making the garment industry safe for 4 million workers who make clothes for all of us, that is one thing. But we need to do more. A union factory is a safe factory. And that is why we have launched a massive organizing project to help our unions to organize the garment workers. At the time of Rana Plaza, the garment industry in Bangladesh was virtually a union-free zone. Now, during the past 18 months, our unions have managed to organize 50,000 workers in 200 factories. Yes, it's a good start, but this is a 4 million worker industry, so we need to do more. Our organizers are being harassed, kidnapped, and fired, and we need to use also the power of the brands to make sure that the workers have a free choice. Another element is the question of living wage. Despite the big campaign last year, where we managed to get an 80% increase to the minimum wage, the workers are still earning only a minimum wage of $67 a month. Workers toil in the garment factories from Monday to Saturday, 10 to 11 hours a day for $67 a month. Well, I'm wearing a t-shirt made in South Africa by unionized textile and garment worker members with the living wage. And that is what the Bangladeshi garment workers have a right to. So, just very soon, the Bangladeshi unions, and there are many of them, they will launch a demand for a $120 wage. It is just a next step towards the living wage. But what I'm asking us to do together, Union IndustriALL, let's mobilize a global campaign and make sure that we get the next steps towards a living wage in Bangladesh.
Thank you, Jyrki. And to give us an idea of how that might be possible, let's remind ourselves of what a global display of solidarity and trade union power actually looks like. Now, this is a film that was shot over several site visits by Uni and IndustriALL on the ground in Savar and Dhaka in Bangladesh.
When we made the call to our affiliates at the beginning of May 2013, just days after the Rana Plaza building collapsed, they immediately realized the importance of what we were trying to do. In just a few days, we compressed the work that would normally take years.
À Force ouvrière, nous nous sommes dit plus jamais ça. Parce que nous savons aussi qu'oublier les erreurs du passé, c'est être condamné à les revivre.
El éxito fue el clamor popular, fueron los consumidores que no querían de ninguna manera ser cómplices de comprar ropa que se estaba elaborando en esas condiciones.
Our affiliates, together often also with European Works Councils or company worker representation committees, are making sure that the retailers that signed the accord stick to the commitments that they have made. We're holding them accountable, we're talking to them about the progress of the accord.
Wir sind in Kontakt mit Gewerkschaften aus Bangladesch, um uns auszutauschen, was notwendig ist. Wir arbeiten in Deutschland mit NGOs zusammen, wie der Kampagne für saubere Kleidung, Clean Clothes Campaign.
I Sverige så har vi ett oerhört gott samarbete med många av våra arbetsgivare, med många av företagen. Vi helt enkelt pratade med dem och till exempel H&M var bland de absolut första till att underteckna, så vi har inte haft stora problem.
We're constantly talking to politicians within the United States. We're constantly up on Capitol Hill talking to them about the need for the US government to show a lead and to favour brands who sign the accord or otherwise abide by the accord's provisions in its government sourcing.
We have a staff of engineers that are doing all of the follow-up work, going to the factories, meeting with the owners, the management, answering questions. A lot of their work is in the office here at the Accord. All of our findings are considered priority one. They all have to be immediately implemented, but some of them take time.
In order to fully compensate the victims of this dreadful industrial accident, it is absolutely crucial that the victims are fully compensated. And so what we need union affiliates to do now is to get back to work, talk to companies and make them contribute to the fund.
Wir sind für gute Arbeit, aber auch für fairen Handel.
Para UGT fue importante la firma del acuerdo de Bangladesh, más importante es su cumplimiento. que no vuelva a haber un Bangladesh, una tragedia en ningún punto del mundo. Esa es nuestra máxima y es lo que perseguimos.
So, I mean, Alke, when everyone pulls together, the results are remarkable. How do you think we could use the Accord as a blueprint for regulating other industries?
The Accord is definitely a game changer. It brings together unions from across the entire garment supply chain, from the factory floor via delivery to the shop floor. And it involves unions from all over the world, across transnational borders and across the borders of global unions. The Accord is also a worker-led and it's legally binding. And with that, we have set a new precedent, a standard beneath which we can never go again. I think that this new standard is the standard which we should use to fight the race to the bottom by global retailers.
And this is a question for both of you, and perhaps it's the most important question, seeing as we're in front of 2,000 very important, very powerful people. What would you like people to do to maintain the momentum of the Accord? What can the affiliates do? Alke?
I think there are really three things that everybody here in the room can do. First of all, everyone should share the information about the Accord, the achievements, the work that we're doing with your members and networks. On the screen behind me, you see our Uni Bangladesh Accord website, which is regularly updated with the latest information about the progress of the Accord. And secondly, you can get more companies still to sign the Accord. And for those signatories that we already have, you can help us ensure that they really stick to the commitments that they made when they signed the Accord. And thirdly...
Well, first of all, I have to confess that your wonderful General Secretary Philip Jennings and I, we occasionally drink beer together in Geneva in moderate portions to brainstorm on our next joint adventures. Where shall we take the Accord next? What country? And to what sectors? How about making the global electronics sector safe and sustainable? How about if all our mobile phones and pads and gadgets were made by unionized workers with living wages and safe workplaces? I think you are with me. But before that, let's take care of the Rana Plaza compensations. What we are asking you to do is that please sign this postcard from the United Victims of Benetton, who still refuse to pay compensation. They're only paying charity, but not compensation to the victims of Rana Plaza where they were involved. Let's send this very powerful message to them. Let's campaign together and let's continue to work on the Accord to make this big industry safe and sustainable. Thank you.
Brilliant.
And in addition to signing the postcard, which we're collecting at the back of the hall in some big boxes, you can also send Twitter messages. And you have a suggested tweet on the screen there behind you. Tell Benetton to pay up for the victims of Rana Plaza.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, so there we have it. Thank you so much, Alke. Thank you so much, Jyrki. Thank you to Uni and to IndustriALL. But above all, thank you so much to every single one of you who made the Accord happen, who shut down the 18 utterly death trap factories in Bangladesh. And, your work means that we're not here mourning another Rana Plaza. So in tribute to everyone who died at Rana Plaza, and to mark our global commitment to ensuring that it never happens again, be great if everyone could stand up.
Yeah, we stand up to show our commitment and solidarity with the Rana Plaza workers.